All right, Jared Freid, the star of the new Netflix comedy special, 37 and Single. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Danny and I are so excited to pick your brain about the special, about pop culture in general, because you have so many thoughts, feelings, and opinions. And I feel like for the most part, Danny and I, if we're not agreeing with you, we're definitely laughing about what you think.
That's all that matters. As long as there's laughter or agreement, we're good. We're okay. Even if you're laughing at me, I'll feel I've made an impact. It's okay.
Okay, that's good. And I mean, because it's been like, I feel like it's been like a week or so since the special came out, and everything I'm seeing, it's like everybody is loving it. How is it feeling having it out in the world? Because obviously you've podcasted for so long, you're on social for so long, but like I feel like a stand-up special is kind of a special type of baby that you're like, oh, this is now in the universe. Like, how has it been feeling?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of stress. It feels amazing to get the feedback that I've gotten has been unreal. It was in the Netflix top 10 for a week, which generally doesn't happen for stand-up specials. I didn't know that. I've heard in the past, they'll touch the top 10, but to stay there for so long, that means it's getting shared around and people are enjoying it. And I will say this, you're right. I've done a lot of social media and podcasting. You kind of know your people. You kind of know what the audience is. You get the people that kind of stray into your party every now and again, and they, make a ruckus and they get mad, and you're like, oh, well, you're, the response of those people, you're like, well, everyone's either agrees with me or they're a troll. You don't think that there's if they disagree with me, there must be some wild, crazy person. So when you go and put out a stand-up special, and especially stand-up because it happens in a club where you have control of the room, you're at the wheel. The minute it goes on Netflix, it's like it's out there in the great wide world, and my, grand uncle is texting me that he saw it, and my parents' friends are seeing it, and we're past the point of how do I get into my Netflix? It's we're, and it's people around our age, being it gives you credibility in a way that it doesn't, before it's oh, he does some stand-up. Now it's he's a stand-up to a lot of those people, and that's not fair, but it's just what it is. So it's been amazing. It's very cool. It's very validating.
Well, and like you said, having a Netflix comedy special is severe credibility, and the special is called 37 and Single, but I kind of feel like now with a Netflix comedy special under your belt, the DMs must be going crazy right now. I feel like you're not going to be single for too much longer.
It is funny that male DMs I think are a little different than the female DMs, and you guys might be able to tell me more about that world than but my assumption with male DMs, and just from what I hear from straight women, is they're always it's a guy being hey, you bitch. It's a lot of that.
No, sometimes it's kind of, I'm like, wait, did I get a degree to be a urologist? Do you know what I mean? I'm like, did I go to medical school? Because I'm like, oh, I didn't know. I'm like, I would get that checked out, not by me, but by someone else.
Right.
But the girls aren't sliding in like that. It's less of a.
No, I'd say women will be oh, I shot my shot, and then you would look at their DM slide, and it will be a riddle, wrapped in an enigma. It'll be once I thought I saw you by the square, and then they just disappear. They don't they kind of half shot, they do the 37 Single. I could change that. And you're okay. And then you go to their account, and it's private. They're in sunglasses. They're wearing a sweatshirt with the hood on. They look like they're undercover. I think what you said, men come out, they're here's my penis. If you're down, that's what you'll be dealing with. And thank you and good night. It's not as straightforward.
Do you wish women would be a bit more straightforward in their DM game? Would that be helpful to you?
Well, the special 37 and Single is really giving people, if you watch it, there's two ways to watch it. There's one where you're who's this guy to complain about the people he sees on dating apps? Or you could watch and be wow, I am seeing inside the mind of a straight man going through it. And that's what it's meant to be, because what I get from a lot of women is like, they feel better. I actually had a therapist reach out to me. She was like saying that like she's had a lot of clients like come to her and say they watch a special and be like, I feel better. It feels less personal. It feels like when I was because a lot of, I do represent for a lot of people a guy they've dated, a guy they've dumped, a guy that's dumped them, their cousin, their brother, the guy that they're friends with from college. Like, I do understand that I'm very normal in that way. Like, I'm not looking to be, I am a very normal, average guy. So, when these questions come up and when people watch the special, they're hearing like, here are the anxieties, here are the insecurities, here's why a guy acted that way back when. So with the DM slide, I think if women were more direct, they would get what they wanted. They would get what they want more. And it's not about me. And this is like, and no one ever listens to this advice. It's easier advice to give than it is to take. I understand that. Because your whole life as a guy, you guys know, since you were young, talk to them. That's what makes you a man, and I think a lot of women are like, be pursued. So they're in this position that they're not comfortable with already. It doesn't feel, feminine, womanly, all those things that are normal, that some people don't wish to feel, but a lot of people do. So they also want an answer, yes or no. So a lot of women, when they DM slide, they're not direct enough. So then they get a half answer from a guy, and men love vague options. So you're really becoming the food to be preyed on. When you walk in, you're like, hey, I think you're cute. You're like, oh, you just gave the predator all the information. You don't want, and no, a lot of women don't want to be a vague option. So when they're coming in being like, hey, I think you're cute, what's up? And then the guy goes, oh, good, I'll talk to her for about 6 months and hang out with her when it's most convenient for me. If I was a woman sliding into a straight guy's DMs, I would be like, hey, I think you seem fun and cute. My profile is now public. I made my profile public for you.
Okay.
And here's my number. I'd love to do drinks. Make a plan, and I'm in. That last sentence is the most important part. Make a plan, and I'm in. Because now you've taken a very gray subject like love and made it black and white, which is what most women want a lot of times. They want,
and that's
love
kind of
me or hate me.
Still an obsession, Lady Sovereign. And I feel like that is kind of such a thing too, where it puts it in like, we're actually wanting to do something. Like, if you want to commit to this, let me know, because that's my favorite. I hate when people are vague with their plans, or it's like, let's get drinks soon. I'm like, what the f does soon mean? And also, I'm like,
soon means I think you're attractive, but I'm not really energized enough to do this now. I don't want to make the time. Yeah. And so many women come to me because they're like, what does this mean? Or how do I DM slide? I'm like, and then when I tell them, I go, say hello, be positive, give the reason why you're there. My profile is open so that you can look at me as much as I just looked at you. Ooh. Here's my number. Make a plan, and I'm in. And if you're afraid of giving out your number, because I do understand that can be like scary for some people, how about, I'd love to get drinks, make a plan, and I'm in. They can do it over the DM. So you don't even have to give out your number.
I feel like 37 and single overall just was very eye-opening when it comes to online dating. And one thing, Jared, that really opened my eyes and shifted my whole perspective about a very polarizing topic within the heterosexual online dating community, because like all my straight girlfriends complain about it, is the fish photo.
Right.
And you really shared some truth that I was like, okay, maybe I need to have a bit more empathy for straight men when they pose with a fish they just caught, because you're right. They like, straight men don't operate like girls and gays, where every situation is a photo op. So there really aren't a lot of opportunities to have your single shot moment, and catching a fish kind of gives you that moment.
I'm happy you enjoyed that, and I'm happy you saw the plight of the straight man. Finally, our plight has been recognized.
And now I feel like sharing this information directly with all of my straight girlfriends who are constantly like, oh my God, the fish photo canceled.
Send them to 37 and Single on Netflix right now, streaming wherever you watch Netflix. But No, you know what's funny? It's like, listen, the internet punching bag is the straight dude. Like because it's agreeable on all ends that like we can make fun. And I think the joke is funny. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, what was me? You know, like that's not what I'm saying. But it is an interesting thing, and I say it on the special, when you're online dating, just because someone's profile is in front of you doesn't mean they're your problem. And not my match, not my problem needs to be a mantra. Ooh. Because if you see a fish picture, yeah, I can give you reasons, and I do on the special of like why that fish picture is happening. But also, like, if you're so fed up with a fish picture, how about swipe and move on? It's not for you. And what a lot of people get angry at is they go, oh my God, they're checking boxes. Like someone starts to check boxes, and third picture and fish picture. They're like, you ruined it. You piece of shit. It should have been you. You know, it's like and you're
we
mad
already found the house on Zillow, but you it up by catching a snapper.
Right. Right. It's like, so it is and it all goes back to like when I go out with my buddies, there's no photo op. And that bit actually was because there was a guy that I'm friends with. There's a guy that I'm currently friends. We're friends. And
okay, in the
I haven't seen him.
Stage, go on. You're like, we're friends.
Yeah, we're just chit-chatting, you know, just making out on the street corner every now and again. So he's one of my good friends from college, and we were at a wedding, my buddy's wedding, and he just got out of a relationship, and he literally pulled aside one of our friends' wives to go take a picture of him in the vineyard around the wedding.
Wait.
And we
That's
have not.
Bravery.
That is the most brave thing I've ever seen someone do, because we have not stopped making fun of him. It has been a decade. We haven't stopped talking about it. It has come up. It comes up regularly. Like, and so again, like this is, you know, whether you like that or don't like that or can't understand it, that's the truth. You know, that's just what happens. Like no guy, and the idea that I would ever do what he did after seeing a decade of jokes being thrown at him, no, I'm not entering. I will never take a picture again.
Well, what I love to, because not only do you tackle dating a lot in the special, you also talk about like dieting and your relationship with food and everything. Because that's why I feel I don't have a lot of photos, because I'll look at one and then I'm like, I'm canceling plans for a month because I hate myself and I need to change my body.
Well, it all relates to dating. What you're saying is true too. Like when someone's like, let's go on a date on a Monday, I'm like, oh, we live two different lifestyles. Like I'm a Monday through Thursday, I am the healthiest person you ever met. I will go 10,000 calories a day through the weekend though. Like I need my recovery time, you know, like but yeah, I talk about the body issue stuff and like a picture. I mean, the most frustrating part about pictures is that like the person posting it doesn't give a about you.
Oh, never.
The picture posted is about the person who posted it, not anyone else in that picture. They'll tag you. Oh yeah. No. They don't give a shit about you. Posting pictures is the most ruthless thing. And you even see it with like boyfriend, girlfriend. All these boyfriends look like monsters. And these girlfriends, they look like they're on the cover of fucking, you know, Elle magazine. It's crazy.
I know. I love how some girlfriends will post a picture with their boyfriend and leave them completely unfacetuned and then turn themselves into an AI character. And I'm like, right. I didn't do your boy like that. Come on.
It reminds me of Sarah McLachlan, ASPCA, when it's like, for $1, you can save rescue I have. Does anybody want it? And I'm like, that's your man, girl.
Yeah, like, why don't you guys want to look like it? Yeah, and I guess there's like a, whatever, you know, doofy, dumpy dude and me, the queen, you know.
Yeah. Well, I do love that you are open about the body image issues on the special, because I think a lot of people don't think of straight men having those issues, and obviously body image stuff is kind of universal, especially, you know, Danny and I have talked about this offline in depth. I'm, you know, this year I have ventured into the land of Ozempia. I have, you know, experimented in that way, and that I feel like Ozempic is such a hot topic in the world of pop culture. All the housewives are on Ozempic. Like everyone's like Ozempic shaming, telling people to not Ozempic shame. Do you have any thoughts on the Ozempic epidemic? You can call it an epidemic, or you can. Oh. I don't know. I guess what would be
I
the opposite of an epidemic? Like a
It's a
the-
pandemic.
I don't know enough about it to like, I guess we actually talked about it on You Up a little bit. But first of all, I live in the land of good for you. Like, that's amazing. If it's helping you, good for you. Like, there's, I guess some people, what I've noticed about the Ozempic thing is I noticed that like some people have just run away with this idea that like you're taking it from the hands of someone with diabetes. And I'm like, I don't know that to be true. And I don't think there's been like a shortage of this medicine for people who need it for there's an array of things that it could be needed for. Again, I'm not a doctor. I know very little. I'm proud of the people for finding something that works for them. Like, I just know how hard it is. Like, I have my body issues, and and if a doctor said to me like, hey, here's a thing that will help you. Yeah, let's see if this helps. It's funny. Like, I just don't want to be given health advice by someone who isn't telling me they're on it.
That's true.
Like,
true,
like if they're like crushing it and they're like, oh, you got to stop eating fruit, there's too much sugar, I'd be like, wait a minute. Like,
Well, that's my favorite thing.
but I
'cause
haven't
feel-
had that happen to me. I'm creating a straw man. That's the only reason I would be like I would want to know. But I good for anyone where it's helping them.
Well, that's like my body issues. I love watching what I eat in a day videos by like celebrities. And then when they're like, yeah, and I get in and out, but after like salads and Pilates, everything like, you like, can you show me where you inject? Because I know like, and then I'll watch everything because now I understand it all. But I do love how people are trying to sneak around it a little.
Yeah, the shaming of anything, it's like, has it been helpful for you?
For me, I mean, I've definitely dropped some weight for sure. But do you know what the issue is? I live in LA, and right now in California, there's been a kind of like a crackdown on semaglutide, which is the generic version of Ozempic. And so I literally just took my last shot. So I gotta figure out a way to smuggle it in now.
That is the funniest crackdown. Like, I'm just imagining these DEA agents breaking into Real Housewives' homes, being like, "Give me the Ozempic."
No, I'm literally
like,
have to,
Reagan ignored AIDS. I'm not ignoring Ozempic. We are righting some wrongs here.
Yeah, I'm about to start making trips to Arizona. I don't know.
As you should, or Kentucky. I mean, I'm sure it's there.
Maybe in Kentucky. I'm in Kentucky right now.
That's my favorite. I went the New York just doctor route, and I walked in, and before I even said "oh" out my mouth, my doctor's like, "You could use it." I was like, "Thank you."
That's a hilarious. That's so funny. You just walk in for like a checkup. They're like, Ozempic, finally. You're like, what?
No, they literally played the CC Finally song. They're like, it has happened. I'm like, okay. I didn't realize it was that hands on deck here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm here for my cholesterol medication. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, baby, it goes hand in hand, and both your hands are full of Doritos. Let's jab you with some shit. But what me and Evan also love about you is because you're not only touring, doing stand-up like every night, you also find the time to like captivate and fill your time with reality television, which is so impressive because that's literally a full-time job in itself.
It's becoming more of a full-time job. I mean, I'm a Bachelor person. Now they're going to have the Golden Bachelor, Bachelor in Paradise. I mean, it's all coming. What do you guys think of Golden Bachelor?
I'm excited. Danny and I were actually just chatting with Joe and Serena about what kind of drama can we expect from grandmas? Like, the granny drama must be so lit. And Serena made a really good point. She was like, grandmas have no filter. They don't give a rat's ass, and they will say whatever comes to mind. So I almost feel like grandmas fighting over one man could be more explosive than 22-year-old Instagram models fighting over one man.
Totally agree. Here's the biggest difference. None of these grandmas are aware of like this other fourth wall. Like, we are all kind of, I talk about in the special the idea of millennials getting canceled by Gen Z. Like, millennials, we were the test generation for like learning how to go through being on camera. Like, everyone, 95% of the people listening to this have their own brand or show, whether they want to admit that or not. You have followers, you have Facebook friends, you have all these things. So you're kind of used to this like brand version of you, and then you're used to this off social media version of you. And for some people, it's way wider than others. The ones that it's way wider, we make fun of them. That's just what happens. If someone's fake online, we make fun of them behind their back. Now, a grandma or someone of these ages that we're expecting to be on the show, which we're not even sure what the cast is yet. We have no idea. I kind of hope there's one 23-year-old woman.
I want that too, because I'm like, that's
right?
New York dating. I'm like, that's
right.
more realistic to me than 2 7-year-olds finding love. Because I look at the 25-year-old on the date with a 65-year-old, and I'm like, you lucky bitch. I tip my hat. I'm like,
right.
girl, I'll see you at Chichoni's waving outside the window. You're living life right. So I want some of them in the
right, just to stir the pot a little bit. I just want to see what happens. It's a petri dish. Let's see what happens when we put a couple chemicals together. But I do think that I agree with Serena, and I agree this will be more. I think this is going to be like, we're going to get a throwback to reality TV before people realize like there are people watching at home and tweeting about it. Like right now, everyone that goes on the show, like sometimes they cry more and get more upset based on knowing how they're going to look later on. I don't think there's a thought with someone of a certain age of like, how will this come off on TV? Like, that's just not, I don't think that runs through their head in a way it does now.
And also, like, for people that are in their 20s and 30s, like, oh my God, some people in Milwaukee hate me. Like, if you tell a 75-year-old that, they're like, who?
Yeah, they're
like, all my friends are dead.
I'm not going to Milwaukee. Like, that's what they would say.
Also, I love you bringing a petri dish, because my favorite thing about senior citizens is when you find out all those articles about how, like, in retirement homes, like, herpes spreads like wildfire. You think the fantasy there's going to be night one fantasy.
That's one of those things that I've heard about so much that I've never like met the group that like, yeah, we all like, you never meet those old people. Like, all we hear about is that these retirement homes are wild. Like I've heard about it so much, but I'm like, okay, I need to see, like, I need to hear from one now. Like, I need
Fleetwood
some
Mac
older
Boca Raton. Yeah.
Right. That's where my parents live. Like, I got to go ask, is there a key party going on here? What's going on here? Like.
Wait, but Danny, it's so funny that you say that. Like, I have a friend who was on The Bachelor. Since you're a Bachelor guy, you might know Sydney Lataco from Colton season. Sydney Lataco from Colton season. She just got married. Actually, she married a fan who slid into her DMs, which, like, good for you, girl.
Come on.
it worked out for her. Yeah, but she told me that everyone has to be rigorously tested for STDs before you go into the Bachelor Mansion. So hopefully everyone that Gary or Jerry, I can't remember how to pronounce it, hopefully every girl that is vying for his heart is nice and clean and ready to make whoopee in the fantasy suites.
It's spelled Jerry, pronounced Gary.
Gary, okay.
It's very confusing, but it was very funny that they did like the promo reel or whatever, and he's like telling this tale of my wife passed and I just gotta get back out there. I just gotta get back out. I gotta find the one for me. And then the next scene, it's him in a bar being like, STD test came back clean, and you're like, Gary, what the It's like the immediate next scene. He's like, Gary got a
Gary's got a I hope that's the ABC tagline for it. It's either
I mean, that's the hat, that's the t-shirt. I'm buying that t-shirt. Gary got a you kidding?
The other ad I have for it is, will you accept this will? Or because I feel like we're really committing to, they're like, I don't need a fucking rose. Give me, what are we combining our assets for?
Right.
I will say that he looks really great for his age. I think he's like 70 or in his 70s, and he doesn't look like he even needs a will just yet. Like the man is looking good.
The Photoshopper, the whoever photoshopped his initial release, because he came on the Men Tell All, and I was like, oh, this is an old man. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a good looking old man. But the Photoshop, when the pictures that came out, you were like, give this Photoshopper an Emmy. Like, they need to be acknowledged and hired for every wedding that's ever going to happen ever.
I didn't watch the Men Tell All, so I was just going off of the promo photos, but that, no, but what I did watch, the part of the Men Tell All that I did see was that crazy Bachelor in Paradise preview. Do you have any thoughts about what to expect in Paradise?
I stay away from Bachelor in Paradise previews. I do stay away from the previews specifically because I'm like, I'm going to have to watch this. So like I have like Like, I'm like, I just want to like go in open-minded. Bachelor in Paradise, people love it because it is like a live version of like Tinder. Like someone comes down, you swipe left or right, like you come down the stairs, you decide right away. I just think that show would be so helped if they put a bell on the beach that like a couple could ring, and that bell signify that they would get like $10,000 each, and then they could go home and date. And then we check in with them later in the season, because the minute they match up, I don't need their love story on the beach. I don't need them getting engaged. It really slows down the show. Like, just keep bringing down dummies down the stairway. Like, I just want that. Like,
maybe you're wishing that Next would be rebooted.
I guess I am. I want a Next with stakes and like people I already know. That would be like, I guess, what this version would be like. But then they, because the idea of them getting engaged and then here's your cell phone, like, that's crazy to me. Like, the cell phone is the third party of every relationship. So when you have a show that doesn't have that exist, then you don't really have a relationship.
That's true. It's like everybody who got together during the pandemic and the second outdoor dining happened, they're like, oh, we have nothing. We were just trying to survive, and now who are you?
Right. Now I have to like want to hang out with you.
No, it's not.
It is a terrifying thing to know that some of these couples that end up getting engaged like don't have each other's phone numbers, or like only vaguely remember what their last name is. Like,
right. Their last name is a single letter, like Lauren L. And you're like, yeah, I'm with L,
Are you taking their last name? I don't. We're going to get to that. Yeah.
If I can spell it.
And I'm not saying you are to cause for this, but when looking you up, Jared, when, seeing your appearances of late, you were on Caitlin's podcast and you were on Jason's podcast in some time, and now they are both separated. Were you whispering things to their ears?
That was all me. No, I'll say it here first. No, what's funny? I went to Nashville and I did Caitlin Bristow's podcast, and she couldn't have been nicer. I couldn't have been like more impressed by her. Like, I thought she was awesome. Jason was there. There was no like signal that these two were on the rocks. But you know what? I think with those relationships, when it's a public eye thing, because they're in the public eye, like they are famous people. I think we're hearing about it 6 months after it happened. I think a lot of times, like, I think like there's a breakup that happens off of social media, off of camera. And then they go, okay. In the same way a couple's like, okay, let's divide the assets. Let's divide this to the people looking at us through a keyhole, and I think that, you even look at their statement, like, that's a PR, that's a professionally written statement. Notice it's a lot different than when your friend on Facebook says that their husband cheated and writes a whole long monologue. Like, it's not as clean as that. Yeah, tags him. Right.
I have some friends. I'm from Jersey. I have some friends that do that, and I screenshot, and I love them.
I mean, it's the most screen. Sometimes I wish it would show like how many times something got screenshot. Like, I just wish we knew, like, because I've had those before in my group, an extended group, where, oh my God, you got to see this, and honestly, I kind of want that for my breakups. I would love just like one press conference. Like, if you've ever posted something on social media together, you have to have like one post to undo it so that we get the end of the story. Like, wouldn't that be great?
With that too, what are your thoughts? Like, the fact that it was and this happens not just with them, with a lot of couples that separate, that it's a collab post, and everybody who knows and does that, you're like, review to accept collaboration. You're like, yeah, we're done. Like, it's such an awkward, it's like, babe, I just sent it. Are you gonna accept it? Like, I feel like it's a weird trend.
Well, to me, it's very funny because it shows again that, like, there's a business they share too, like, and listen, if you go into business with your significant other, it's going to be hard. And, and then if your business is like, talking, being in front of people and having an audience, like, we got to let the audience down, and, and Oh, it's funny. We're using them as an example, but like they're not bad people. It seems like, but it was almost like it should be studied how they did it. Like I think because like both of them were very respectful towards each other. It didn't seem like anyone was made to be the bad guy, and they both kept chugging along. Like I went on his podcast. I didn't get like 1,000 comments. Like we put up videos from the podcast. It wasn't like all comments being like, what happened with Kristen? Like that used to happen sometimes, right? Like this was very nice.
Yeah, well, Kayla and Jason, they're over, but Dylan and Hannah, they just got married in Paris on a Wednesday. Thoughts
They got married on a Wednesday?
They got married on a Wednesday. Last night.
That guy, I mean, Dylan must be from gabillions of dollars. That guy, I think that guy must be richer than Bezos or his dad is at least, because when you get married on a Wednesday, that means you have rich friends. There's no other way to put it. You either have really poor friends or really rich friends, and I'm going to put them in the really rich friends group.
They are one of the Bachelor Nation couples that I absolutely am obsessed with. And I feel like, okay, so Hannah is an Aquarius and Dylan is a Gemini, and I'm an Aquarius, and my fiance, he's a Gemini. So I'm in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like we're the Dylan and Hannah of our own lives. And I don't know how you feel about astrology or Dylan and Hannah. So feel free to share your thoughts on both.
Dylan has always been very nice to me, and I think I don't follow them closely enough. I just know that like when you have when you come on The Bachelor with a startup, like like I at 23, I think life is, and then you move off to the beach and then have your wedding in Paris. Money cures all, it seems. So my sign is bags of money. That's the sign I believe in. But I would also say that, astrology, I do like, I don't like people who hate on it. I think it's like easy to hate on because you're like, people are going to agree with you. But I would say, again, to me, it's Ozempic. Good for you if it gets you by.
Well, I subscribe to Ozempic and astrology, two good parts of my life. What is your sign, Jared? What are you?
Pisces.
Oh, so we're secretly sensitive.
Yeah, it's definitely sensitive. I didn't realize that was a Pisces thing, but yeah, I feel everything.
My favorite is I'm obsessed with astrology. I Googled your birthday. I was like, I have no clue what his sign is from that. So I'm glad we figured that out.
I'm like right on the edge
of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Because he's February 21st. That's what.
February 21st. Yeah.
Oh, I'm February 18th. So I'm the very last day of Aquarius. So I'm almost a Pisces. Even though I'm really into astrology, I'm not too up on what it means to be a cusping sign because I always very much identify with the Aquarius traits, but I gotta look into these Pisces traits because I'll claim some of them.
Jared, looking at you right now makes me feel like he sat on so many first dates where astrology got brought up because he's like,
really? Cusping.
I'm that girl. I am that girl.
Well, I will say, it has been on the U Up podcast, Jordana, we have this really funny running joke where we went to tape over Zoom one day and we were about to start the episode, or we started the episode. I'm like, welcome to the show. And Jordana goes, February 21st. And it's my birthday. And she doesn't know this. And she's going, that's like the worst day of the year. It's the middle of winter. There's nothing to look forward to. All the holidays are done. We're not even close to summer. And I'm like, you're right. It's the worst day of the year. And I go, and it's also my birthday. So it has been dubbed. Now we have a yearly joke of like February 21st, the worst day of the year.
That's amazing.
Or the best day, because an icon and a legend was born. We gotta rebrand the day of February 21st for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, going back to The Bachelor a little bit, because I just love your Bachelor hot takes. Thoughts on, okay, here's a light spoiler for Bachelor in Paradise, because I know you didn't watch the preview. Rachel, she's going back to Paradise to figure out love. Rachel Recchia, who did the season with Gabby, who is now newly bisexual.
Not a surprise. Rachel, not a surprise at all. Rachel, it's interesting. Rachel there's a part of Rachel's season that people don't talk about anymore. Her and Zach Shawcross go to the fantasy suite. It gets visibly awkward. Zach leaves kind of in a huff. Then Zach is asked to be the Bachelor by producers. So knowing what we know, what I just said, I kind of trust Zach on that discussion, that dispute. Zach kind of said and would hint at, but he's been pretty classy about it, that Zach has kind of hinted at, like, I wasn't getting the real person. And then he goes on his season, and him and Katie seem like good. Like, I not to say anyone was excited about Zach, but I've met him, nice guy, felt genuine, like completely genuine. And if you watch them on social media, I kind of see their stories every now and again. It feels like a real couple that's living in Austin. Like, it doesn't really, and that does some Bachelor stuff every now and again. Rachel, kind of created bad guys out of thin air. Kind of like remember they went on Paradise last season, her and Gabby, and then like totally blew up one of the guys' spots. I don't remember who it was.
I forget who the victim was, but I do remember them going in and causing a ruckus, like tag team double trouble, ruin this man's life.
Right. Like, tried to make him evil, and on that show, like, it's really easy to do that. So with Given the Power, she has made someone kind of like this evil, whatever. And, now she's running on to the Bachelor in Paradise. Of course she is. Like, and does this whole thing, looking back on, it makes me like kind of have a revisionist history based on when you leave The Bachelor from being the Bachelor, you kind of like go back and go, and then you see what they do next. I think that's like kind of showing, the true colors. So am I surprised she went back? No, it seems like she's someone that's like playing in the follower economy, as a lot of these people are, some more than others. So I'm not really surprised.
And Evan, did you say she's going on F-Boy Island too?
Oh, no. Okay, so Danny is not as dialed into Bachelor Nation because and
it's astrology. How some people react to astrology. It's just so many things. I'm like, I can always say a Gabby, a Lauren, or a Matt, and I'm like, them, right?
So Rachel, a former Bachelorette, she is returning to Bachelor in Paradise, Danny, and then
I saw her in the clip. She had like the dry hair, like, right?
Oh, not dragging the dry hair. I hope Rachel is or isn't listening. But Katie
Thurston,
she is returning to Paradise, I think, just to have a confrontation with Blake, because she also is a new lead on F-Boy Island on the CW. So she is another one who seems to be sort of playing in the follower economy as well. But I'm not mad at it, because I feel like she kind of got the crap end of the stick in her season of The Bachelorette with the way things shook out there, but between Blake and Greg, who's now with Victoria F. It's just like, I don't know. If she's looking for love in Paradise or on F-Boy Island, I support it.
Right. Katie has always been really nice to me, if I'm to be honest. Like, and she started doing some stand-up. She came to my show. Yeah. And so like, she's like looking to take a turn. And I think when you like, to me, what Katie's doing, when you look to take a turn and you like go on F-Boy Island and go on stage, like, you're putting yourself in a position to be embarrassed, which I kind of have a lot of respect for that. Yeah. Like, you're putting, you know what I mean? Like, to be embarrassed sounds worse than it is. I mean it in like you're making yourself vulnerable. That's a better way to put it. So when you go to do stand up and you're someone who immediately at an open mic, someone's going to take a camera and tape you. That's a really vulnerable place to put yourself. And that means you're really kind of going for something different. And F-Boy Island, like, the former Bachelor going on F-Boy Island. It's an easy thing to make fun of. Like, I have more respect for what Katie's doing in that sense than, kind of watching how Rachel has gone through things, with like, where I'm going to make, this guy the bad guy to, I'm not going for it, but I'm going for it. It seemingly,
Mhm.
in my opinion, from my vantage point.
And what better material for stand-up than to go on FY Island or doing like 27,000 seasons of Bachelor Nation shows? Like, if anything, like Katie is doing it right.
Right. At this point, there's enough contestants that you could fill with them, so you can't, so the relatability will be high. Like.
That's so true. And I do want to get your thoughts on Gabby discovering her sexuality by watching a Netflix show,
Thanks.
Match, which it's so funny because I think I realized I was gay when I was watching The Real Housewives of Orange County in like 2006. And one of the wives' sons, I think his name was Jake, he played baseball or something, but he took his shirt off in one scene and I was like, okay, that's it, I'm gay.
Oh.
So I completely understand Gabby's journey.
I didn't hear that story until just now, like that she had realized it via, watching a show. Good for her. This is amazing. I mean, Robbie Hoffman is a hilarious comic. That's who Gabby's dating, and they were at the finale sitting together, which I loved. I love that Gabby went Jewish. As a Jewish person, welcome to the team, L'chaim.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe someone will discover something about their sexuality watching 37 and Single.
You never know. Maybe someone was like, "Ugh," at me and turned them.
No, or like the opposite. You never know.
Yeah,
or you're getting the first DM. You're like, "Hey, man, watch your special. Make a plan."
I mean,
make a plan. I'm in.
Honestly, you were talking about the body image issue stuff, but you were kind of looking jacked in that black t-shirt. The traps were trapping. The way the blue light was hitting the traps, I was like, okay, let me get to the gym.
Thank you. T-shirt struggles has been a lifetime thing for me. Can't find one that fits. I got it made actually because I was like, I'm not playing this game of like t-shirt that's a belly shirt or becomes a dress. I'm always, because I'm a wide-shouldered, short-torsoed man. So I'm thick up top. So it takes up a lot of shirt. So the larges kind of scrunch up and then the XLs are just too baggy and go too long. So I got a t-shirt made for the special.
Okay,
He
wait, I
gets
love
one
that
Netflix special and is already doing custom t-shirts.
That's right.
It's Jared and Beyonce.
Custom Freid.
Yeah. You're on your own Renaissance tour. I love it.
He's a diva now.
That's it.
Well, Jared, I think that is like the perfect place to end. You are entering this new era of your life. You're a diva. You're getting custom t-shirts. You got 37 and Single.
The biggest diva in Kentucky right now. I feel it.
Yes,
That's
the biggest diva in Kentucky. We appreciate you for taking the time, sharing all the hot takes. And also, I do want to say before we let you go, you were saying spiritual people, you imagine them dancing in a CVS, ribbon dancing with a receipt. I just want to say that sounds like my ultimate fantasy. So, but that was hysterical. I think that like I nearly peed when you said that. That was really funny. So if anyone is listening to this and hasn't seen 37 and Single, go do it right now because it truly is hysterical.
That means a lot. Thank you both for having me. This was like the most fun. I think it'll definitely be the most fun I had in Kentucky, I think. And
Kentucky, Cincinnati.
And yeah, Kentucky, Cincinnati. And yeah, if you watch it, share it with friends. I think the greatest compliment I've gotten is like, stand up, you get a lot of like straight dudes who are like showing their girlfriend, who they think is good. And a lot of them, it's cool that I've had a lot of women, be like, I got my boyfriend to watch with me and we both loved it together. Like, I think this is like for couples and it's for, it's really for everybody. So it's been really cool to get that reaction.
Well, it's also for the gays because like I just feel like you're tapped into some of the like weird pop culture stuff or just like some of the news cycle that like I will say I was so impressed that you knew about the Teen Vogue editor who got canceled. Like I love that you knew that.
Your wavelengths are strong.
What's that?
Your wavelengths are strong. Yes.
Thank you. I'm not a reader, but I'll read like one line of everything. So I that was just stood out to me that like that was someone who's like I can't remember the story specifically, but just I remember like that seemed like someone who was trying to do the right things, and then gone. So.
Yeah. Bye.
Well, we hate to say goodbye to you, Jared, but we'll let you be on your merry way in Kentucky, and we're glad that we were the most fun part of your Kentucky trip so far.
It was great. Thank you, guys.